welcome to the Parental Compass by Family Education and Support Services. I am your host, Bobby Williams. As always, please subscribe to the show, tell a friend about the show, leave a comment about it. So we're trying to build our audience here, and you are an important part of making that happen. Today, we are talking about family reunification. We are speaking with Ambrosia and Natalia, who both were in circumstances where their children were removed from their care and they had to work incredibly hard to be reunified. And so today we're talking about their stories, what they learned along the way, and what they're doing now to help other families that are going through similar situations. This was just a really heartfelt conversation. I got a lot out of it. I think you will too. Let's check it out. Something that struck me in preparing for this interview is both of you have had just such incredible life stories. Set us up a little bit for this conversation. Can you talk to me a little bit about how your families first got involved in the legal system and the circumstances that were going on? You want to tell us a little bit, Ambrosia?
I found myself pregnant with twins, and I had two young children already, and my life was overwhelming at the time, and I didn't have the support and resources I needed. And I also had an addiction and kind of didn't really know people that got help with that, didn't know the pathways. And when my twins were born, they were put on a hospital hold, and that started kind of my CPS case. And my two other children each went to their dads, and that's how I found myself in the child welfare system.
So you're in the middle of kind of active addiction, and then soon as your children were born, the hospital basically claimed them?
No, it took a little while. So 18 days in, I think, they were preemie. They were born premature and little, and so they were in the NICU. It was around, like, my dad told that I was in a toxic relationship, told that, they suspected I was doing some things, and that, I didn't have all the support I needed to be parenting my children in the way really, truly, my heart wanted to be parenting them.
What about you, Natalia?
I come from a family with a lot of generational trauma. Came to America when I was a little bit over 16. Have a huge family, 11 siblings. And we were not, there was no talking about anything. You just kind of hide and push things under the rug. And that's the way we dealt with things. At 19, I ran away from home. Mom and dad went to church, and I packed my bag and left. And so about a year later, I hopped on a boat and went to Alaska. And that's where I met my husband, my first husband, which I have three beautiful children with them, not realizing that, there was a lot of things that came with that relationship. Domestic violence was one of them. It came with a huge baggage. And one way I coped with domestic violence was I called them my M&Ms. Those were my pills. I was medically put on them first for a right reasons. However, we all know that opiates are very addictive. And not knowing, being so naive, this is a different world, different country. This is not my main language to speak. Back then, I was still kind of interpreting things in my head. Now I can fluently just think English, speak English. That was many years ago, and it was challenging. having kiddos and not having tools, not knowing who to ask for help. And so in 2013, things happened and CPS came knocking on my door.
So your children, they're taken out of your care, and then you're in the system, like you're really in the mix of lots of requirements, lots of classes. Can you just talk to me about what that all looked like for you and how did you navigate through all that?
I remember it being so intimidating. I remember feeling overwhelmed. And, even as something so small as I've never used public transportation. And now I'm going to be using public transportation because my license isn't valid. Visitation was hard to go to. Like you're excited to go see your kids. And then it's really hard to say goodbye over and over and over and over again. It's hard on the kids. It's like being reunited and then taken away again over and over again.
What do you remember from that time in your life, Natalya?
One of the things that I still keep it in my mind to this day is I do NA and AA program, and they tell you, remember your worst day of your life. And if you ever want to go back using, hold on to that and remember that. And one of my moments are when I am putting my 6-year-old into the car from a visit, and she is holding on by everything that she could possibly can and screaming her little lungs out, and she had this huge red curly hair, and that memory is ingrained in me. As difficult as it is, I tell myself that will never be repeated again, ever. It's like Ambrosia said, you reunite with them and they ripped out of your hands again. You reunite with them and then they ripped out of your hands again. Reliving that trauma over and over is devastating, not only to the parents, to mom and dad, it's devastating to the children. My children is out of the system 13 years now, and we are still to this day processing, dealing with it. We still go into counseling services. It just keeps popping up. I see there how it changed them. And I don't know if it will ever be, I mean, they are healing, but will it ever go away? I doubt it.
It seems like with all this, it's easy to just be very beat down by the whole situation, and you feel like, oh, you slip up on something and it's a step back, it's a step forward, you miss a bus, it's all these different things. And then how do you maintain hope through all of it? We talk about hope scores and kind of hope muscles. Can Ambrosia, could you share a little bit more about that and just maintaining hope through all this?
I am learning that with hope, even me having the belief that tomorrow could be better than today, and there's something I could do today to impact that or to kind of solidify that that could be true for tomorrow. I started to have that later in my case. And it was by working with people that believed in me, that could cheerlead me on, that could say, yeah, you did really well in that one thing. And there's still this thing we need you to work on, Ambrosia. I see how I had it later in my case. And I wish I would have had it earlier in my case. And it includes things like having goals, and kind of almost creating a pathway in your brain where, like, you have a goal, maybe it's really small, and you obtain it. Then you could have a bigger goal and obtain it. And it's like Dr. Chan Hillman says, hope begets hope. That's kind of what that means, is like when I came from failing so much, that's what I had proof of as I started to plan and achieve those. Then I had that pathway and that experience, and that just grew into more and more. And I feel like I came from being a coordinator of Spokane, much like Natalya is a director in her area. I feel like when we're in that role, we naturally help parents with some of this. And we are those cheerleaders that feed into them. We see past their circumstances. We know they can get there, with some support if they do some things. And hope is such a gift. It really is. And it's not a feeling, it's an action. Blows my mind.
I'm hearing you say small goals. If you can just start to just get some little goals, it can build on itself and you can get momentum that way.
It was those little things, getting up, brushing your teeth, okay, feeling good about yourself, fixing your bed, okay, going to that class, getting that slip signed, doing your homework, completing that book, and getting a certificate. And then, the more certificate you get, the more things you complete, the more goals you set. And then you look back a year and a half later, and it's like, wow, that's a lot of growth. And yes, and so and that hope grows with those actions.
Hmm. Yeah. The other piece that I'm hearing is community really meant a lot for you through this whole process. Can you build community around yourself or get more support?
For me, it is very simple. In my addiction, I did not know one sober person. In my recovery, I don't know one addict. I mean, I know addicts, but they're not my best friends. Let's put it that way. I still have friends who my guardian ad litem was in my case. I still speak with her. Our children now grew up together. Um, a community that I have now, whether it's via church, whether it's AA community, my best friends, my family, um, those are my community. Those are my peeps. Those are the people that I turned in when I'm struggling.
Well, now you're both in situations where you're helping other parents to get through this process and press on. What advice do you give to them, or when they're feeling like all hope is lost, what do you say to them?
I remember sharing with parents, like, what's one thing you can do today to move your case forward? It can be that simple. And to something Natalya said earlier, is it getting up and brushing your teeth? Is it making it to that one thing you have on your schedule?
Sometimes parents, when they are kind of in the everyday grind, and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's difficult and it's challenging, and there is a calendar full of things that have to be done, and they just want to give up. And sometimes I do tell the parents, no one will ever replace you to your child, ever. You will always be their mom, you will always be their daddy. Whether it's grandma they are placed with or a foster home, you will always be their parent. Hold on to that, hang on to that, and that is your light at the end of the tunnel. Like Ambrosia said, one thing, if you could do one thing moving forward, we have that in saying in AA, sometimes quickly and sometimes slowly. And sometimes we move very, very, very slowly. But as long as we get there, it is okay.
You can never break that bond of being a parent. That's permanent. No matter what, that's permanent. So tell me, what was that moment like when you finally had jumped through all the hoops, you had made it there, and your children were returned home? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
It was the best day ever. It was Friday, February 27th. I will never forget that day. We went to Bremerton, and we picked them up, the social worker and a couple of my friends, and they were brought home. And it was the best feeling in the world. It's like becoming a mom again. In the beginning, when one of my social workers said that you don't deserve your kids, I made myself a silent promise, and I said, let me show you. I birthed those kids, and one day the judge will order them back to me. And it did. February 27th, that order happened. And I won't change anything back. It's the best day of my life.
I have a similar experience. The best Christmas present I ever got was when the judge said, "Your kids are you've done the work. Your kids are coming home." Despite what the social worker's opinion was, despite what the guardian ad litem's opinion was, which I thought they had all the power. Apparently the judge is the final say, and I did the work, even though like it didn't look like it could turn out in my favor. And it was the best day of my life and the best Christmas present.
It's National Reunification Month. What's your message to families, to the listeners here? What do you want to leave the audience with?
Celebrate with us. And we are having our Reunification Day in Mason County, June 26th, July 22nd in Thurston County, and then in Lewis County, August 15th. It is community celebration. We get together, parents who reunited with their kiddos, professionals, and we recognize you for all the hard work you do, because it is extremely difficult. It's a lot of work the parents have to do, a lot of work. And so I just want to say, good job on doing it. Do not give up, no matter what. And we are here for you.
Well, I hope this gives families who are dealing with the same type of situations inspiration to keep pressing on. I hope it gives a little perspective to everyone, regardless of their circumstances, about what it's like to deal with these type of situations. And just thank you so much for sharing your stories and taking the time to be here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalya and Ambrosia. Congratulations on all the hard work that you've had to do in your lives. And thank you for all you're doing to help other families dealing with these type of circumstances. This has been The Parental Compass by Family Education and Support Services. I'm Bobby Williams. We'll see you next episode. Peace.